Hello, this is Modern Mongolia. I'm your host Donna. Here I candidly talk about Mongolian life, culture, art, and share lived experiences. Welcome aboard. Hello, what's up? How is everyone? I hope everyone is doing great, and because we are approaching Christmas, and I hope everyone is excited for the holidays and Christmas and New Year's. Like we are, I always feel like in the second half of the December, I'm in like liminal space, like I can't do anything because I'm kind of excited for the New Year's and I'm excited for wrapping up the last year and preparing for myself for the new year. So if you wonder how Mongolians celebrate New Year's, you can go and check the episode number 7 where I talked about how Mongolians celebrate New Year's. So we don't celebrate Christmas officially, but we have our own way of celebrating and making Christmas parties, and it's kind of a very big thing in Mongolia. So you can go and check that episode. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about my thoughts and takes on how individualism is challenged in collectivist society in Mongolia. Mongolian culture is very much about community, collectivity, and connectivity. I recently read an article on the Facebook that says, let me read it to you. What makes Mongolia the world's most socially connected place? Maybe it's your life. The title goes so, and it goes on. Okay. So it says, if you're feeling a bit disconnected from your fellow humans, you might consider taking a few tips from Mongolians. In a new Gallup report for the Global State of Social Connections, people in 142 countries were asked to rate their social connectedness, defined as how close do you feel to people emotionally. And the word people was given a broad definition: family, friends, neighbors, co-workers, people from groups you're part of, and strangers. So pretty much everybody. And most countries did well. Overall, 7 out of 10 people around the globe said they're very or fairly connected. But Mongolians were the most connected of all. So this actually article was very interesting. It's posted on npr.org. So it's about how your life makes us all socially connected, and even though we are as a nomads, we are living very dispersed in the steppe, in the wild, but we have these small communities that are living together, and they're very much connected. So this article was super interesting. I will share the link on the episode description. So I want to go back to the old days to explain about this connectivity again. So traditional way of living in a ger. So imagine this, for the minimum family with one child. So there are 3 people live together in this very close, intimate space of ger and sharing everything, a minimum. And actually, for some cases, in a ger, there are several families, maybe 2 or 3 generations of families can live together in one single ger. Grandparents, parents, and their kids. So, but mostly as long as the kids get married, parents build their kids newlyweds a new ger for new family, and 2, 3 or more or several gers are built like camps, and they create this hotel community. We call it hotel, and this kind of group of families and relatives live together. And life in the countryside as herders is very communal. For example, if one family kills a sheep or goat or a cow, there is a piece of meat distributed for every other family. Like, for example, during my childhood summers, when I used to live with my grandparents for summer for 3 months, there was like a lot of occasions like that I had to carry this kind of meal sharings and like distribution and carrying the pot or the things to the other families. And as a kid, we loved this task because mostly the kids carrying these distributions back and forth between girls, delivering the share, and we often came back with some candy or borsuk as a compliment. So many of the chores activities like bringing waters, bringing logs from the mountains, moving the camps are very much done as a community, helping each other, depending on each other, taking care for each other. And this is why Mongolian nomad life to be like very communal and connected, and everything is done as a community. I hope you get the idea. And of course, this side of nomadic community is a bit diluted in the city, I would say, but still family ties are very strong. So I think you heard about the Asian values. So it's kind of like a general idea of how Asian countries have this value that is opposed to the Western values, that like the family is in the very center of the human connection and relationships. So let me tell you that more or less Mongolians somewhat also share that value. So we value family and filiality. Filial connection is very strong sentiment for us. So as I feel, there are like two sides for this kind of Mongolian values that rests in the collective culture of Mongolia. So for example, the good side is like we can depend on each other. When someone is sick, it's very common for the family members and relatives to raise money, support the sick one for their medication and treatment. And relatives, we call like achtoner, are mostly willing to help each other, especially if you're in a difficult situation. You can rely on your family, you can ask for help. So I know that it's not the case for like every single person, but culturally it's very general and very common. And the saying like all for one and one for all. And this is an essential value of the nomads. And I think you have the idea that if you've seen any Korean drama series, you may have seen like parents treating their like adult children like teenagers or children, and adults still live with their family as a nuclear family. So in Mongolia, it also happens too, and it's not actually like American movies. It's totally different. From like kids are kicked out of their homes at the moment they turn 18, and though actually every child wants that, including I too, like I wanted that. I always wanted to move out, figure life out on my own, but for Mongolians as a family, we live together until the children get married and move out. So again, it surely depends on each family situation, but I'd say it's very common and very typical in Mongolia. Also, most Mongolians can't comprehend the idea of nursing homes and sending away our elders to the nursing houses. Filial piety is very strong in Mongolian culture. We take care of our elders when they get old and to the point that they can't take care of themselves. We actually bring them, we live together, and we love our elders. So I also want to share what social psychologist Haryat Oyanq shared on the Facebook because it really depicts the difference between collective and individual society. So she wrote that collective society is closely related to others by its basic relations. And when we meet and communicate, we often ask, how is he? How is the other one doing? How is that uncle, that aunt, that niece, that cousin is doing? And there is the main subject of our relationship, or like the main subject of our communication, is always a human. And we always take care of each other, asking if the other one is doing well or not. So also our actions are subject to the extent of others' well-being and norms of others. So in order to be in harmony with others as a society, one puts their own will and faith in a second and has more comprehensive opinion and stable relationship. And on the other side, in an individualistic society, mostly it refers to the Western society, a person has an opinion of, person tends to be in their own separate world from others and taking responsibility for their own action, putting their own needs before the goals of the group or the community, and often talks about their own development in order to stand out from the others, and their actions are very much governed by rules, and the subject of the communication is mostly like my goal, my motivation, and those kind of things, and my need, etc. So I hope you see the difference. And what I struggle with this kind of like collective culture is even though I was born as a Mongolian in collective society, my personality is very much about a bit of individualism, and I'm an Aquarius and a bit of a loner. And as a child, I always wanted my room and my own space. And actually, at the moment, the reason why I'm not in Mongolia is I'm living in Hungary, and most of the time I feel like I'm not in control of my own life when I'm in Mongolia, because it's hard to assert my boundaries, especially with my family. But all those relationships, I have to say it, and all those relationships that I feel like sometimes they are violating my boundaries or personal space, actually are indeed from a place of love. My family and other people from my immediate community, they wish the best for me and try to express what is best for me. And I just want to say there's for some Mongolians, maybe I think there are people that also feel same as me and struggle with this kind of clash between individualism and collectivism, and maybe for Gen Z mostly, and also for millennials. And it's a bit challenging to navigate, this idea of my dream, my wishes, and my ideal life in a collective society. So let me tell you about the other side of collectivism. There is a good side that I share, that it's nice to have a community that I can depend on whenever there's difficulty, and there's always someone there for me. But the other side can be that the collectivism and filial sentiment sometimes feel like a burden too, because expectation and a lot of family involvement, I think, creates this struggle for me and also for many other people. Of course, I always say this, I love Mongolia, I am a proud Mongolian, I love my culture and tradition, but I don't like the fact sometimes that I'm expected to live the way my family wants me to. And For example, did you guys? I hope everyone saw the Everything Everywhere All at Once that starred Michelle Yeoh, and like that movie was a blast last year. And actually, that movie resonated with me a lot because I'm very much like my life is my life, and I want to be in control of that. And sometimes I feel like I'm fine without anyone's help, but I realize that's not actually good because self-sufficiency is not a very good thing. And but sometimes I feel that way, especially during my teenage years. I have been like that, and my mom often called me like selfish and egoistic, and that created some kind of trauma, Well, I don't know, I feel like I'm not articulating it enough as good as I wanted to. But anyway, what I mean is it's tough to navigate or find the balance between collectivist and individualist attitudes. So, especially, of course, I love the warmth of collective hospitality, kindness, and reliance. And on the other side, I have to deal with my family entanglement, conforming to the expectations, etc. And I believe like other Asians who are living in Western countries might share this feeling too, because I was also discussing it with my friend. He's Vietnamese, Haika, and like how we sometimes feel isolated in this Western individualist culture, because here in Western culture it's more like my business. I'm minding my own business. I don't give a shit, and your problem is your problem, like that. So sometimes we just miss our chaotic but warm culture back home. So us humans are so complicated. We can't be happy, right? So but we can't give up our own life goal to be home. To go back to the nomadic life, I actually want to clear the air about having no privacy inside gear. So, quote unquote, the others might feel so surprised and can't comprehend the idea that you won't have any privacy and living together with others for the rest of their life. So I believe from the beginning it was never about one single person pursuing their dream or whatever. People born in Ger, in the countryside, they live together since they were born, and it's all about family and surviving as a community, as a family, and it's all about that immediate community. We wonder how people live without their own space or privacy, because we know what is privacy and we have things to do on our own without any interruption. But for nomadic life, I think it's just that they might not need like material private space. So to elaborate, I want to share from my childhood memories. So I was like, whenever I just walking alone, herding the animals, that's a space that I can be alone with my thoughts. So the outside, the nature, the hill, and the steppe itself were my getaways. So those were the space to myself to be alone with my thoughts. So daily in the countryside, we have enough space, mental and emotional space, to be alone, to wander, follow animals to the mountains and so on. And at the end of the day, we actually don't need to have our room. We have all the space in the countryside, like rather than material space as a room, etc. Of course, we have mental and emotional space to be alone, to process our thoughts, and to feel the feelings we have. And at the end of the day, it would be so nice to return to a care full of warmth and full of embrace of our family. So apologies if this episode felt like my diary that I'm talking to myself, but actually this topic is not talked enough in Mongolia too, and I just hope this helped to understand Mongolians. So thank you. Thank you for listening to this podcast, and if you'd like to keep up with Mongolia, make sure you subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and everywhere else. Хамт байсанд маш их баярлалаа. Баяртай.